In the world of 17th-century France, a time marked by political intrigue, royal power struggles, and the overarching influence of the Catholic Church, few figures commanded as much attention as Cardinal Mazarin. The chief minister to King Louis XIV, Mazarin was at the heart of French politics for much of the early part of the king's reign, guiding the young monarch through the turbulent years of the Fronde and consolidating the monarchy's power. Yet, behind the scenes, there was a woman whose subtle yet immense influence over Mazarin shaped not only his personal decisions but the course of French history itself. Her name was Madame Bourdon, a woman whose cunning and strategic mind allowed her to manipulate the most powerful man in France from the shadows. Madame Bourdon's role in shaping the politics of the time has been shrouded in mystery, with few concrete details available about her background. She was not a public figure, nor did she hold any official position in the court. Instead, she wielded power through her close proximity to Mazarin, a relationship that allowed her to subtly influence his decisions and actions, all while remaining largely unnoticed by the outside world. Her ability to remain in the shadows, operating behind the scenes, is one of the most fascinating aspects of her story. Though the full extent of her influence is still a subject of historical debate, the impact she had on the decisions made by Mazarin and, by extension, on France's future is undeniable. To understand how Madame Bourdon exerted such control, one must first consider the political landscape of France during her time. The reign of Louis XIV, though still in its early years, was marked by intense political instability. The Fronde, a series of civil wars and uprisings that took place between 1648 and 1653, had left the French monarchy weakened, and Cardinal Mazarin, as the chief minister, was tasked with navigating these turbulent times. Mazarin's position was precarious, as he was not French by birth, and his Italian heritage was often a source of mistrust among the French nobility. As a result, he had to rely on a variety of people to solidify his power, and Madame Bourdon was one of those who helped him maintain control. Though little is known about her early life, it is believed that Madame Bourdon came from a relatively modest background. What set her apart, however, was her keen intellect and political acumen. She entered Mazarin's orbit through her connections with various members of the French aristocracy, and her charm and wit quickly won her the favor of the powerful cardinal. Madame Bourdon was not just a confidant, she was a strategist, always thinking several steps ahead and carefully navigating the delicate balance of power at the court. Madame Bourdon's influence over Mazarin was not overt. She did not seek the limelight, and she certainly did not demand the kind of public acknowledgement that many other political players of the time did. Instead, her power lay in her ability to shape Mazarin's decisions through private conversations and subtle suggestions. She was able to frame issues in ways that aligned with her interests and goals, convincing Mazarin to adopt policies that were favorable to her and her allies. It was through this quiet manipulation that Madame Bourdon ensured her place in the political machinations of the time, controlling the flow of information and shaping the cardinal's worldview. Her influence was particularly strong in the realm of diplomacy and foreign policy. Cardinal Mazarin, though a skilled diplomat, was often seen as somewhat indecisive, particularly in his dealings with other European powers. Madame Bourdon, with her sharp mind for strategy, was able to provide him with counsel that aligned with her own interests, pushing him toward policies that benefited her network. In particular, she played a role in influencing Mazarin's relationships with Spain and Italy, both of which were crucial to France's foreign policy at the time. Perhaps the most significant example of Madame Bourdon's influence came during the aftermath of the Fronde. After the civil wars, Mazarin was determined to strengthen the monarchy and restore order to France. However, his policies were often met with resistance, particularly from the powerful French nobility, who viewed his rise to power with suspicion. Madame Bourdon, understanding the delicate nature of the political landscape, encouraged Mazarin to adopt a more cautious approach, urging him to rely on diplomacy and subtle negotiations rather than forceful actions. Her advice helped Mazarin navigate the treacherous waters of post-Fronde France, and her counsel undoubtedly played a role in maintaining the stability of the monarchy during these early years of Louis XIV's reign. What makes Madame Bourdon's story even more intriguing is the fact that she managed to maintain her influence for so long without ever stepping into the public eye. She was not part of the official court structure, and yet she held significant sway over the most powerful man in France. Her ability to operate in the background, unnoticed by many, is a testament to her intelligence and political savvy. In many ways, she was a master of the art of subtlety, able to shape events and outcomes without ever revealing the full extent of her hand. Despite her undeniable impact on French politics, Madame Bourdon's legacy remains largely obscured. She was never fully recognized for her role in shaping the course of history, and her influence was overshadowed by the more visible figures of the time, such as Cardinal Mazarin himself. However, her story serves as a reminder of the often hidden power that women have wielded throughout history. In a time when women were largely excluded from formal political positions, Madame Bourdon was able to exert immense influence through her intellect, charm, and strategic thinking. Today, Madame Bourdon remains a mysterious figure, one whose story has been largely forgotten by history. Yet, her influence over Mazarin and her role in the political intrigues of 17th-century France cannot be understated. In an era dominated by powerful men, Madame Bourdon proved that a woman could shape the course of history, even from the shadows.